Hello friends, welcome to Directives. This is our Angular 14 complete end-to-end tutorial. So in this video, I am going to cover all the features in Angular with some practical examples. And the main advantages of the video is I am going to cover one real-time application with the complete authentication feature. It will be more helpful in our projects. And this video is mainly created for beginners and experienced people. So before going to start our session, one thing I can say confidently that if you completely watched this video, you will be familiar on Angular and also you can contribute any real-time projects. Okay, now let me provide some overview of this Angular application. So the Angular is a TypeScript based framework. It is used to create the single page web application. And the second one is this Angular is an open source. There is no cost involved and it's maintained by Google. They are providing the long-term support. The latest version of Angular is 14. It is released 2nd June 2022. And if you're talking about the history of this Angular, so initially they have started with an Angular JS. It is work like a just our normal jQuery or a JavaScript. So after this Angular 2, they are comes up with an standalone framework for creating this web application. For any version update, they are including some new features and bug fixing some performance improvement. So now we are in this Angular 14. Now let me share some advantage of Angular. Angular provides cross-platform support. The performance of the Angular application is highly improved and it provides this faster development process because we are using this component based architecture only. So simultaneously multiple developers can work in the same component and also we have to reuse the component, and it's providing the wonderful support for the unit testing. So we can use the different frameworks like a Karma or Jasmine, and this is a single page lightweight application, and also it can support this bootstrap and also this material UI. So in order to we can get the better UI also. So now let me move on the system requirements. For developing this Angular application, you can use any of the operating systems. It could be Windows or Mac or Linux, you can use it. The first thing is you should have the latest version of Node.js in your machine. So just go to the browser and type like a download Node.js. So open the first link. So if you see here, basically we have two options. The first one is recommended for most users and the second one is current latest features. So you have to use the first one is recommended for most users. So based on your operating system, you have to download this package. If you are using Windows, you have to click this one. So if you are having this Mac OS, then you have to click and download it. In case it's Linux, then you have to click this link and download the package, then you have to install it. So let me go to the download folder. Okay, you just right click and install. So it's saying the preparing for the installation. So then you have to click this next. So it's showing the three options. The first one is change, repair and remove. So I am already installed this Node.js in my machine. That's what it's saying like this. Otherwise, the next option should be enabled. You have to click this next and complete the installation. Once the installation is completed, the Node.js and also the npms both are get installed in your machine. For verifying this one, just go to the command prompt and type like node. So it is saying version 16.16 is installed, and also for verifying the npm-v. Okay, the npm version is 8.11. Okay, now we have to install our Angular CLI in our machine. So installing Angular CLI in our machine, you have to use this command. So npm install, after that we are providing this G because we are going to install this Angular CLI for globally, and then you have to provide this Angular/CLI. So it will install the latest version of Angular CLI in our machine. So let me copy it. So the installation gets completed. So once the installation get completed, if you want to verify the version of Angular, then you have to use this command ng version. So see the Angular CLI version is 14.0.6, and the Node version is 16.16, and this NPM version is 8.11, and also our OS is Windows 32 x 64. So the basic installation gets completed. Now our system is ready for developing this Angular application. So before going to create new application, let me provide two more information. So in case if you want uninstall this Angular CLI, then you have to use this command. So instead of this install, you have to use this uninstall. In some case, for the particular project requirement, so you have to install the specific version of Angular CLI. So in this case, first you have to uninstall the existing Angular CLI. So then you have to use this command npm install global at angular/CLI. Then you have to mention this version like that. So you know the exact version means then you have to specify like that also. Otherwise you have to provide like 11 or 12. What's the version you are expecting? Then you have to provide it. So now let me create my first project. For creating the project, we have the Angular CLI commands. The CLI commands are nothing but command line interface. So using this, we can initialize or develop scaffold or creating any files in this Angular application. For creating this Angular application, the command is ng-new, then you have to provide our application name. So let me go to the command prompt once again. Actually, I'm going to create the application in the folder of EF, and I'm having the path already. So the command is ng-new. My application name is Angular 14. So first it's asking like, would you like to add Angular routing? Yes. And the second one is CSS. What type of CSS you are going to use? The normal CSS or SCSS, SASS, LESS. So I'm going to use this CSS only. So now it's adding the required files and also installing the required packages in our application. So basically it will take some time. Once the installation gets completed, we can open this application in the any of the source code editor. So there we have to do our development changes. So I would suggest to use the editor is Visual Studio Code. If you don't have the Visual Studio Code, you have to download and install it. In the Google, you have to type like a VS Code download. So the first line. So the link is loaded. So based on your operating system, you have to download the package and you have to install it. So in my machine, I am already installed it. Okay, the VS Code is opened. So previously I used some project. It's loaded defaultly. So once our project is created, we can open our project. Okay, great. Our application is created. So let me open in our VS Code. Go to the file, then open the folder. This is our project, Angular 14. So let me select it. And now let me go to the terminal. Okay. So in this Angular CLI, we use the first command for creating the application. So we may have the n number of commands. So for getting the all command information, you have to use this ng help. So ng build, ng catch, ng completion. So mainly we are going to use this part ng generate for generating all the files like components, services, models, etc. And for running the application, you have to use the command is ng serve. Okay, let me run our application first. Ng serve. So basically we can use two options. One is ng serve and another one is npm start. So even if you are using this npm start also, so it will run this ngserve command only. So our application is running now. You have to see this command. Angular live development server is listening on localhost 4200. So then you have to click this link. So our application is loaded. This is the basic template provided by Angular. For getting the more documentation, you have to use these commands like a lan Angular. So it will redirect the official website of Angular. So here also you can refer there is any doubt. And for getting the CLI commands information, see now for installing this Angular CLI and for creating the application and opening the application for running the application in ngserve. The same way we have the different commands. Definitely we will see everything in the detail. And the third one is Angular Material. So it will redirect the official site of Material UI. So it will provide the wonderful and rich look and feel. So this UI also we can use in our application. So now I am going to do my first change in our Angular application. So let me go to the application. So here I am going to do the changes under this source. So in the source we have this app component. Okay, here you have to see some default style and HTML tags. So let me remove everything. So I'm going to save this one. See the output. Currently we have this menu section only. Other than that, we have removed all the changes. Here I'm going to provide one h2 tag, Angular 14 tutorial. See now the text is coming. So this is our first change. Now let me explain the folder structure of Angular. So if you clearly noticed, you have this source folder and also we have some other folders and files also. So as a developer, you are going to do over most of the changes, like more than 95% of changes inside this source folder only. But you should know why we have these files and what are the functionalities. Okay. The first one is Angular. So basically it contains this webpack information, and the second one is VS Code. So it contains the information of launching. So what is the command, what is the URL, basic URL, and what is the test URL. That information only configured in this VS Code. And the third one is node models. And this node models, it contains the packages. So even there is any changes in the packages, you don't do here. Why? Because we have the package information are stored in our package.json file. So even if I'm deleted this node model, if I'm trying to give this npm install, this folder and packages are gets recreated. So that time if you are do any manual changes, it will be removed. So you don't touch this folder. And the next one is source. So we are going to do more changes here only. So I will explain each and every file here. And the next one is browser list track. So this is kind of just a note. So it's not going to affect in our application. So it's just telling our application going to support below browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari, iOS. And the next one is angular.json. This is the very important file. Why? Because the application gets started from this file only. Let me explain little later. Now coming to this karma.config.json. So this is the file basically configuring our testing related things. So for the testing we can use any of the shoot, but defaultly we are going to use this Jasmine. So it contains the launcher related information and this package hyphen log.json. Okay. So initially I mentioned this package.json contains the all package information. So in this log.json, it contains the detailed information like for the single package may have a number of dependencies. So the whole informations and the resolved URL and what is the registry, these all the informations are included in this package.json. Okay. So the final three are TS configuration files. So this one is for handling this TS configuration. I mean this TypeScript configuration, this application level. And the next one is TS config.json. So it is handling the global configuration of TypeScript file. So the final one is TS config spec.json. So this is the configuration file for our testing TypeScript files. So now let me move on the source folder. So inside the source folder, the first one is app. So the app folder contains three important sections. The first one is model, and another one is app routing model, and another one is component. So the component is nothing but the combination of one TS file and one HTML file and another one is CSS file. So this CSS file is responsible for handling the style, and this HTML file is responsible for handling this design, and this TS file mostly handling the logics, and the spec file is for testing purpose. Currently if it's not required you have to remove it. And this model, okay, the model, so basically grouping the multiple components and services in order to complete the big functionality. Like you just consider one authentication is one of the model, so it may contains the features of like registration, login. So these are the features. For the individual features we have to create the separate components, but everything is get grouped in this model itself. And this app routing model, so this is the base routing model, so it is used for the routing purpose. So when I'm explaining this routing you will be get more. Okay. And this asset folder, in this asset folder basically we can keep some files like images. And this environments, so it contains the environmental variable, it is for the releasing time. So the next one is index.html. This is the startup file, let me explain a little later. And this main.ts file, so it's also loading for the TypeScript files. And the next one is polyfills.ts file, so this is mainly used for this compatibility of the browser. So in the Angular we are using the latest features, it may not going to support for some of the browsers. So for resolving that kind of issues we are going to use this polyfill.ts file. And the next one is styles.css. So if you have any global styles then you have to include in this style.css file. And the next one is test.ts. So this is the entry point of any test. So now let me explain the workflow. So whenever your request is started, it directly comes to this angular.json file. So here only we are just configured like what is the index and main, file fill and a TypeScript file. So in the asset we have mentioned this icon and other assist styles. We have mapped everything in this place only. If you have any scripts also, you have to include it here. So mostly we are not going to include any scripts here, but definitely we have to include some styles in these areas. Okay. So after that, the request is directly goes to this index.html. So the index.html is the very basic HTML file only. Here you have to see like a header and body. So in the body section, we have to see this app root. This app root is nothing but our app component. So in this app component, we have the section is selector. So the selector only we just used in our HTML file. In case if I'm trying to change this one, see now we are not getting any screen. Basically it will show some error only. See now we don't have the selector like app ROO. So let me go to the index.html. Here also I'm going to change it. So now it's working fine. Okay. But anyway, let me keep in the standard way. Okay, it's working fine. So let me check what are the topics I have completed. We have completed the configuration and installation, and we have created the first application, the folder structure and the CLI commands. So we are going to see more CLI commands as soon as possible. So let me mark this one also gets completed. Okay, now let me move on this component. Once it's done, we have to move on the models. So the components are the primary building blocks of our Angular application. So basically we have four types of components. The first one is basic component, and the second one is components with inline style, and the third one is components with inline template. The final one is standalone component. For creating all types of component, we have the CLI command. So first let me create one basic component. For generating the components, we have to use this command ng generate. For the generate short form, we have to use this G, and this component short form, we have to use the C. So finally, we have to use the component name. So let me create it. So I'm going to the new terminal. Ng generate component. So my component name is home. Okay, see now our component is created. It's created four files. So the first one is HTML and a spec file, one TS file and a CSS file, and also it's updated our app.model.ts. Okay. So basically when you are creating the components, it's created for the particular model only. So and also it's updated our app.model.ts file. So let me go to the component. So in the home folder, we have see the four files. Okay. And in our app.model side, so it's just imported here, and also it's included in the declaration side. So if you are adding any models, you're supposed to include in this import side, and if it is the component, then you have to mention in this declaration side. So this is the basic concept. So let me make some changes here. H2, welcome to Hirata-keys. Now let me try to call this component in our app component. The first thing is we have to copy this selector. Now let me go to our app component. So in the app component, I am going to use this tag. So let me save it, and we have to see the output. See now, the welcome to Nigarata keys, it's coming from our home component. So this is the very basic component. The second one is components with an inline style. It will create the components, but it don't have any style file. That means it don't have the CSS file. Instead of that, any styles we have to include in our TypeScript file itself. So let me create it. Ng generate component. Component name is about. For the inline style, so let me provide the syntax like this: inline style. Okay, great, it's created. Now see, it's generated three files only: one HTML file, one spec file, and another one is TS file. It's not generated the CS file, and also it's updated in our model.ts file. So let me open the component here. If you noted in the TS file, so we have the section is called styles. So in case if you want to include any CSS, I mean the classes, you have to mention in this place. So if you are noted in our home component, here we have the styles URL. So there we have mapped the file path. So instead of that, we have this style section. The same way I am going to create my next component, components with inline template. So this is nothing but it's not going to create the HTML file. So instead of that, we have to handle our HTMLs in our TypeScript file. So let me create it. Ng generate component. So my component name is contact inline template. Okay, this is created. This is the contact. And see here also it's generated three files. We have the spec file, TS file, and the CSS, but we don't have the HTML file. So let me open in the folder. See now. So let me go to the TS file. Here we have the template section. So in this template section, what are the changes you have? So you have to change accordingly. So let me call these two components also in our app component. So the contact. So before that we have one more component, app about. H3. See now, so this is coming from our contact component and the final one is coming from our about component. Now you may have the questions. So can we create this inline style and inline template with the same component? Yes. So in this scenario, we will have only TS file. If there is any CSS or in HTML, both we have to handle in our TypeScript file itself. So let me create that also. ng generate component and status component name is okay inline style, then inline template. Okay, see now it's just created the two files. One is for testing file and another one is the TS file. And there is any changes, so we can handle everything in our TypeScript file itself. Let me do it. So instead of this p tag, I am going to provide h4 and let me change the text also Angular. So in the style section, I am going to provide one class. So the color is green. And let me copy this selector also. I am going to include in our app component. See now the text is coming and also I provided the color is green, it's coming. So if I'm trying to give some other styles also, it will work. See now, so the font also gets increased. So the final one is standalone components. So this is also one of the new feature. It's introduced in Angular 14. So basically when you are creating the component, it is created for the particular model only. Currently we don't have any model. I mean, we have only one default model. So that's what all the components are created for this particular model. In case if I am created any new models, so that time we have to create the component for the particular specific models. So this standalone component is not depending upon any model. So it will work standalone only. So let me create it. ng generate component. So my component name is login. This is the standalone component. Okay, great. If you see here, there are 4 files are generated. Even here also we have to use this inline style or inline template. So as of now, I'm trying to explain this standalone concept. So let me go to the folder login. So in this TS file, if you noted here, we have one new option. Standalone, it should be true. And also we have one more section, imports. So defaultly the common model is imported. In case if you want to include some other models also, so you have to include in this place. So in case if you are using this two-way binding, you have to import this form model. And in case if you are using like a what is called the material UI, you have to import many models. So that we supposed to handle in this place only. So other than that, we have the same like a template URL and the style URL, and whatever changes also we have to modify accordingly. So now let me try to call this one also in our app component. So basically it won't allow. So this is saying the app login is an Angular component, then verify that is the part of the models. So our model name is app model, but it's not included in our app models. That's what it's showing an error. So let me include it. So initially I said there is any component we have to include this declaration side, but this standalone component, so we have to include in this import section only. So let me include it, login component. See now the error got resolved. So you have to see the text is login its works. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one new model. So the model I am already provided the descriptions like, so model is the place for grouping the so many components and pipes in order to complete the whole functionality. So in our application also, I am going to create one model is access model. So in this access model contains the login and registration functionalities. So everything we will see little later. First, I am going to create the model and its components. For generating the components, the CLI command is ng generate. The short form of model is model m. So my model name is success. So when I'm creating the model, I should have this routing file also. So if required the routing file, then I have to specify like this. Okay, our access model is generated. So if you noted any model, it should be declared within this ng model decorator, and also it contains the section is declaration imports. The finally we should have this export. So if you are not using this export, we cannot call this class in some other models. Okay, and also this app routing model. So it contains the same information. When I'm explaining this routing, so you will get more information. So now let me try to create one component for this access model. So the syntax is almost the same, ng generate component, and I'm going to create this component for this access. So let me provide access slash. So my component name is register. See now my component is created. So if I'm checked in the TS file, so the syntax is almost the same. There is no changes. But in this access.model.ts file, I am able to see this register components. In the declaration part, it's included. But this component is not included in our app.model. See here, it's not available because this component is mainly created for the particular model only. So okay, we have seen about different types of components. I hope you got some better idea about these Angular components. So now let me move on this routing. So the routing is nothing but navigating to one page into another page. So in this Angular application, so we have three types of routing. So the first one is basic routing, the second one is child routing, it has another name is group routing, and the final one is model routing. So every route consists of three important sections. The first one is routes, and the second one is router link. The final one is router outlet. So first let me consider this one. So this routes is a class. So this is the place for mapping path and component. So let me show you. So the first we have to use our base routing file app routing model. So this is the class I just specified. Here we have to path with specific component. So basically we have to include everything in the object format. My first path is home and the relevant component is home component. The similar way I am going to include some other components also. The second one is about us. So the component name is about us component. So the third one is contact. Okay, we have included the three routes. So the second one is router link. So this is the directive for navigating the different routes. So it is just acts as like our href in our anchor tag. So let me explain from our code. So in our app component, so let me remove all the things. So even this h2 tag also. And I'm going to copy this router outlet. I'm going to include in the content section. So in the top of that, we have the text is welcome. So let me remove it. So instead of that, I'm going to provide one anchor link. So the first one is home and the second one is about and the third one is contact. So let me refresh it. Okay, we have the text, but it's not visible properly. So when I mouse hovering, it's showing. So let me include some styles. So in the app component.cs file, color should be white, important, and also the padding 5 pixel. See, now we have the menus right now, but we don't have any link. Now I'm going to include this router link. Here the important thing is start from small letter, the router, and the link first letter should be caps. So please note it. And here you have to mention the route path. The first one is home. So let me save. So if I'm trying to click this home, I'm getting this text. So it's coming from our home component. So similar way, I'm going to include other routes also. About, contact. So if I'm clicking this about us, so it's saying about works. So the text basically comes from the about component. The same way for the contact also. The text is coming from the component itself only. So I hope you got some idea about this routes and router link. The same way the router outlet. So basically we have included this router outlet in the app component already. So this router outlet is nothing but this is also one of the directive. So when I'm clicking the link, so it will match the particular path and it will find out the particular component. Make sure it should be displayed in this router outlet. So that's what I mentioned like. So this is the place for display the matched route. In case if I don't have this section, so let me comment it. See now nothing is loaded. So if I'm clicking this about us, the URL has changed, but the display nothing has happened. Even if I'm clicking the home also the same thing. So let me uncomment it. Okay, now we have completed the basic routing. So let me move on this child routing. So the child routing is nothing but the route inside the another route. So let me go to the routing file. So here we have this contact. This is the main route. So inside the route, I am going to have some child routes. For adding this one, we have the option is called children. So here also we have to pass in the array format. So let me take in the next line everything. Okay, great. So inside the array, I am going to create my routes. So the first path, the path name should be add. And the component, I don't have any component, so let me create it. ng generate component, add contact. Okay, the component is created, so let me include it. Add contact component. Okay, this is great. So let me add one more path also. I mean one more route also. Edit. For the edit also, I am going to use the same component only. So edit time, basically we have some parameter. So let me include it, ID. So now we have done. And what I'm going to do in this contacts, I'm going to provide two links. So let me go to the contact component. Okay, in the template, actually we are maintaining everything from our TS file itself. Here first, I am going to change the tag should be h2 contact. Here I am going to provide the first link as add contact. So the router link should be add. The second one is edit. Here the path value should be edit. Also I am going to pass one parameter. So let me rerun it once again. See, now we have the two links. One is for add contact and another one is for edit contact. So when I am clicking this add contact, you see the URL has changed, but in the display there is no change. Okay, why? Because I just added the link, but I'm not provided the router outlet. So let me copy and use it here. So the router outlet, I am going to create the separate div. Okay, this is done. See, now the add contact works. So if I'm clicking this edit contact, so here also the text is same, but the URL you have to see the additional parameters. So now you have the scenario like when I'm clicking this edit contact, you are passing the key value in our URL. But how to get this value? So for getting this one, we have the option is called activated route. So let me go to the add contact component. So this is the real-time scenario. When you are working the real-time application, definitely you will face this kind of scenarios. So that's what I explaining this one. So let me inject the activated route. One class was there. Activated route. Okay. So after that, let me declare one variable route ID equal to. So this dot route dot snapshot parameters map, then get. Here you have to provide the ID. So this ID is nothing but we have mapped in our app routing.model. In case if you are providing some other name, you have to change accordingly. So once I got the value, so let me include in our console.log. So let me go to the console. Let me refresh it. So here I'm getting the value as 1. Why? Because the URL it's returning the value as 1. So if I'm clicking this add context, there is no value. So it's returning as a null. Again, if I'm trying to click this edit contact, I'm getting the same values 1. So in case if I'm trying to give some other values, so in the contact.ts file, instead of this 1, I'm trying to give 201. So let me refresh this contact once again. So if I'm clicking this edit contact, see I'm getting this 201. So same way if I'm clicking this add, I'm getting the null value. So that's what I have mentioned at this point. Get the route values. Actually we have completed, and this basic routing also we have done, and this child routing, that also we have completed. So now let me come to this model routing. So in the application we already created one separate model that is called our register model. So when I'm creating the model, I have to created one routing model also. So in this routing model, I am going to register my register component. The path I am going to provide register, and the component should be register component. Okay, we have done. Now I am going to create one more link in our app component. So in the top of that, you have to see in the right corner UT band, this Twitter link. So let me remove one link. First, I am going to remove this Twitter link. So here I am going to provide the value as a register, and this router link. Okay, it's fine. So when I am clicking this register, I will get the error like, so cannot match the routes for the register, because I have included in my access routing.model, but I'm not included in the app routing model. So what I'm supposed to do, I have to include this access routing model also in our app model. So let me refer it. Access routing model. Okay, so now we are in the contact page. So let me go to the home. So now I am trying to click this register. See, it's saying the register is worse. So in this way only we have to call the different models also in our main routing model. Okay, now we have done this model routing also. Finally, let me move on this lazy loading. So the lazy loading is nothing but loading this model or component or some other files when there is required. So until it's not required, you do not load the particular component. That's all about the concept. So let me explain here. Currently I am in the home page. Okay, I'm not even clicked this register or some other links. So if I'm going to the source inside the webpack, if you noted here, this access model also loaded, the register component, everything is loaded at the same time. So the lazy loading concept says until I am not clicking this link, you do not load this model or else this component. So first we have to do this lazy loading for the model. So after that we have to move on the component level. So let me remove this one, access routing model. It's not required. Now let me go to the app routing model. So in the app routing model, I am going to create one more path. So the path name is success, and the next, instead of the component, I am going to use this load children. Here I am going to use this import option. So inside the import, I am going to specify the path of our model. access, and our model name is access model. Then okay, we have done it. Now let me change the link also. I'm just copying this access. Instead of just register, I'm going to provide the model name first because we have registered this model in the lazy loading format. So inside that only we have this particular link. So let me show you. So when I'm clicking this register, it's working fine. Okay. So working point of it's fine. Now we have to verify our lazy loading concept. So let me go to the source side. Again this webpack. So inside the source, you are not able to see the access folder. Okay. Now I am trying to click this register. See now the access folder is coming and also our register component also loaded fine. Okay. So this is all about doing the lazy loading for the model wise. The similar way we have to do the lazy loading for the component. For doing the component, we should have the standalone component. So in our application, I am already created one standalone component. So the standalone component name is login. Yes, it's done. I think I have called directly. So let me remove it first. So on the import side, I am already included. So I removed both the places. So let me refresh it. So if I see here, the login is not loaded and we don't have any link also. First, let me create the link. So before this registration, I am going to provide the link as login. So now let me go to the app routing model. Here I am going to create one new route. So the path name is login. So instead of this load children, I am going to use load component. So other steps are almost the same. I am going to use this import option only. So inside the import, I am going to provide the path of our component. Then our class name, login component. So we have done. Let me verify it. So here the login folder is not opened. So when I'm trying to click this login button, see the login folder is coming and also it's working fine. So this is all about the lazy loading of component. So let me mark this one also completed. And the final one is redirect 404 page. So let me explain the scenario. So currently I'm in the about us page. So it's working fine. There is no issue. So I'm trying to give one wrong URL. Instead of about, I am trying to give about us. So what will happen? There is nothing is loaded. So if you noted in the error side, the URL segment about us is not found. That's what the error is showing. So in this scenario, we have to redirect in the 404 page and we have to provide the messages. The particular route is not found. So let me do it. For doing this one, I have to create one more component. So instead of that, I am going to use the existing component status. So let me change the text. 404 error. requested page not found. So the color I am trying to give red, and the size also I'm going to give 50 because we don't have any text at all. Okay. So in the route side we have one small change. At the end you have to include this one. First one is path. So the path should be double star, and the component should be our component. So I am going to use the status component. So let me go to the home. So in the about page it's fine. About us. So it's redirecting the 404 page. So instead of that, other something login 1. Again, it's in the 404 error. So if I'm trying to give the correct URL, so it will be working fine. So now we have completed our redirect 404 page. That also it's done. So let me go to the topics. So currently we have done this model, components, routing, lazy loading. So let me mark everything as green. So our next topic is bindings. So in the bindings, basically we have the 5 types of binding. The first one is interpolation. So the interpolation is nothing but our data binding. For doing this one, so the interpolation is nothing but the data binding. For doing this one, the syntax we supposed to use this one, the double curly braces. And the second one is event binding, used to bind any of the events. The syntax is like this. And the third one is property binding. It is used to bind any property dynamically, then we have to use this option. So the syntax is the rectangular braces. The fourth one is two-way binding. So the two-way binding means it's binding the data simultaneously. If there is any change in the binded component, so it will be reflected automatically in the model. So if there is any changes in the model, that time also it's reflected in the components. It's a kind of vice versa operation. Or else you can to say it's a combination of event binding plus property binding. So the syntax also like this one, like. So the final one is style binding. The style binding is basically used for binding the styles in the dynamic manner. So let me explain you one by one. For doing this, all the things we can use our home component itself. So in the home component, currently we have the hard-coded text. So let me remove it. So here I am going to bind in this using our interpolation. So we have some text. So let me define one text here. Header name, Angular tutorial. So let me copy it. I just added. So if I'm in the home components, so it's binded like this. So if I'm trying to change the value here, Angular 14 tutorial. So once I'm saved, so it's automatically gets reflected. So in the interpolation, basically we have to use one more concept is called pipes. So the pipes are nothing but doing the transformation of our text or else formatting the type into one type to another format. So currently we have some text, okay. So I'm just binded here. So I am trying to make this is the lowercase. So the syntax is like this. So let me provide the pipe name lowercase. Now see, so everything is changed into lowercase. The similar way if you want an uppercase, so you have to see the text are changed into the uppercase. So that's what we have some text we are transferring into some other format. So this is not only for the string, we can do this for the numbers also. So let me do it. Salary 1000. Here I am going to provide one more hashtag. I'm saying my salary is, so after that I am using this interpolation. So let me see. So it's saying my salary is 1000. Here I am trying to apply the pipes. So we have one default pipe is called currency pipe. So see now, so the currency value is simply formatted and also it's added the symbol of the currency. So default it should be a dollar. If required, you have to change it. For changing this one, we have to pass some parameters to our pipes. So let me do it. So I won't get the Indian currency. So that's what I'm provided this INR. See now the currency symbol has changed. In case if I'm trying to give Europe, EUR, the symbol is changed. So if I'm trying to give USD for American currency, so this is all about the pipes. If you want get more details about the pipes, you just search like a Angular pipes. So the first link, this is the official link of Angular, angular.io. If you noted here, they have provided the different pipes like a date pipe, uppercase, lowercase, currency we have seen, the same way percentage, decimal. So we have the different things. So let me use the percentage also instead of this currency. See now one big value is coming. So let me change the value like this, 0.35. Now it should be a 35 percentage. Okay, this is all about the pipes. And hope you got some better idea about this interpolation as well as the pipes. So let me mark both are gets completed. And using this interpolation, you have to bind any value. So the value should be binded in the string format only. You may have the values in the numeric or decimal, whatever it is. So when it's binding time, it's converting into the string format. Now let me move on this event binding. For doing this event, I am going to create one button first. Click me. So mostly we are going to use the event is click event. So let me give the click. Here I am going to write one function also. Function click. So let me define the function. So inside the function, I am going to provide one alert test string function. See now our button is coming. Maybe the design not looks good. Once we are included this material UI or bootstrap, it will be fine. Definitely I will include. So currently I'm trying to explain the concept only. So let me click it. So when I'm clicking, I'm able to get this value. Okay. So now let me try to pass some parameters here. Name. Then I have to mention the data type. If I don't know the data type, I supposed to provide any. So I know I'm going to pass some string values only. So let me give the string. So in the home command also, click here. So instead of this hardcode text, I'm going to pass the dynamic text now. So let me refresh it. Now I'm trying to click. So I'm getting this click here alert. Okay. So this event binding is not only for the button, even we can use for some what is called the input and select whatever HTML tag we have. So we can use it. So I'm going to use one input tag also. For this input, I am going to use onChange. So even name is change. So let me call the same function only. So the input is input test. So when I'm changing, I'm able to get this input text. So otherwise, whatever value I'm typing in the text box, I supposed to take and I have to return means. So let me include the identifier text. Okay. After that, text dot value. Angular. So the alert is coming. Angular then testing. So I am getting this Angular testing. So in that way, we have to bind the any of the event. So now we have completed this event binding. So let me mark this one also gets completed. And the third one is property binding. For doing this one, I have to use the same input tag only. So let me use disable. This is one of the property. So here I'm going to declare one value also is disabled false. So let me copy the value. See now currently the text box is not disabled. So if I'm trying to give true, see the text box should be disabled. Okay. So this is not only for the disabled, the same way we have to use for checked or selected value. Even in the input box, we have the properties called value. So let me add it. I'm going to provide the same value only. See now it's disabled also and the value is true. Now I'm trying to make this is the false. Now the text box also it's editable and the value also should be false only. Okay, this is fine. So this is all about the property binding. So let me mark this one also gets completed. And now and the next one is very important one, two-way binding. For doing this two-way binding, I am going to create one more text box. So input. So the text box is created and very important thing is if you are using this two-way binding, you have to import this form model. So let me include it. So in this import section, I'm going to use form model. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, ng model. So let me take this header name. So now it's fine. So let me show you one more thing. I'm trying to give some invalid syntax. Okay. So see, you're providing this warning. So it's saying like you are trying to use this two-way binding, but the syntax parenthesis should be inside the brackets. So this feature also it's introduced in this Angular 14 only. If there is any suggestion, it will show. That's it. So let me make it is the normal one. I mean the correct one. Okay, I am able to see the text Angular 14 tutorial. I am going to change the value part 1. So whenever I am changing value in the text box, it should be reflected in the top of that also. So you can see like now I am going to give tutorial. So even I am trying to change something in my header. Okay, Angular 14, that's it. See now it's reflected in my controls. So whatever changes in the model, it should be reflected in the controls. The same time, the changes in the control, it should be reflected in our model. So that's all about this two-way binding. So the syntax is this one. Please don't forget it. So let me mark this one also gets completed. Now let me move on this style binding. So as I mentioned, if you want bind any style dynamically, then you have to use this option. So I am going to provide one of the style. Okay. So the color name red. This is my dynamic value. Okay. You may say this is the hardcode value. Yes, the real time the value maybe comes from the databases. Now let me bind it here. I just consider this h2 tag style dot color. So this is also look like our similar of our property binding online. See now the color is changed. Okay. So if I'm trying to give green, it's changed into green. Now let me try to change the font value also. 40 pixel. So let me copy it. Here I'm going to include one more section. Again, style dot font size equal to. See the font is completely changed. So this is all about the style binding. So let me mark this one also gets completed. Okay, we have completed binding successfully. Let me move on this directives. So the directives are classes that add the additional behavior to elements in our Angular applications. So in the Angular we have n number of inbuilt directives. If required, we can create some custom directives also. So basically we can classify our directives in the three forms. The first one is components. So the components we already see. The next one is attribute directives. And the third one is structural directives. For the example of this attribute directives, this ng class, ng style and ng model. So this ng model we already seen. It's used in the two-way binding. And the ng style, this one also used for binding the styles. Okay. And the second one is the ng class. So this one is used for binding the classes in the dynamic manner. So let me show you. So let me remove these two things. And this one also it's not required. Here I am going to create one class first. Head class. Okay. So here the color should be blue. And this font width also bold. So in my TS file, let me define this as the class name. We have done it. So let me bind using this ng class. So I cannot bind this ng class. So let me remove it, ng class. Okay, this is the correct syntax. So you have to provide this n as the small letter. Okay. See now the class is applied for this particular h2 element. Okay. The same way I am trying to bind the styles in this way. So instead of this class, I am going to use ng style. So if I'm trying to save, it will throw an error. So basically this ng style will accept only the objects, not a string. Okay. So let me define my style. Style value. So let me define the object. So the property is color and the value is yellow. So the same way I'm going to provide one more property, font size. Font size should be 60 pixel, then only I know the difference. So let me copy it. Okay, I'm already added, so let me add one second. And I'm just added here. So see now we have the big text, the color of yellow. So let me change it. So this is all about the ng class and ng style. Hope you got the difference. So now let me move on the structural directives. So in the structural directives, we have three options, the ngIf, ngFor and ngSwitch. So first we have to take this ngIf. So based on some conditions, it will show the particular element. Okay. So we can apply this ng for this h2 element. So the syntax is star ng if the salary should have more than 0, I should have this h2 tag. This is my condition. See now it's coming. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, if I'm trying to make this as the 0, see the text is gone. If you think the value is loaded from dynamically, not like that. Actually we are providing this is the static value only. This salary only we are loading dynamically. So now let me give some values here. Okay, this is loaded fine. The next one is ngFor. So basically this ngFor we can use for the table data binding or else drop down data binding and lists. So in that scenarios we have to use this what is called in the ngFor. For doing this one, let me define one array. So colors, so green, red, yellow, black. I have included 4 colors. Okay, so let me try to bind one of our list. So the syntax is star ng for, here the f is the caps one, let item of our object name. So whatever values is coming in the item, using this interpolation concept, let me bind it here. See now my list is loaded. So the green, red, yellow and black. So in case if I'm trying to add one more property, like a white. So see now the white also gets included. So in this way only we are supposed to use this ng for. So we have completed this ngif and ng for. This ng switch also same. So when we are implementing the real-time application, I will showcase how to use this ng switch also. Now we have to check the topics. So now we have completed this interpolation and pipes also. Two-way binding, property binding, event handling, directives. We have done. So the remaining topics are services, data transfer between the components, Angular route card, consuming this external API, interceptor. So after that the forms, material UI, so the form types, template driven form, reactive forms, RxJS, state management, unit testing. These all the topics are still remaining. Now I am going to implement the login page. It will cover most of our topics. So let me go to the application. Now I am going to start my change here. So let me include one h2 tag and the name is user login. So the name is added. Now let me start the design of our login page. For providing the better UI, you can use Bootstrap or else the Material UI. So now I am going to explain within Material UI. So this is the official site for Angular Material UI. So let me click this get started. So the first thing is we have to install this Material UI package. So let me copy this one. So I am just installing. So it's found like we have the compatible package version Angular Material 14.1. Would you like to proceed? Yes. So it is installing the required packages. The package get installed. Now we have to choose the theme. So let me go with an indigo/pink. And the second one is set up the global Angular Material typography style. Yes. Include and enable the animation. Yes. Okay, great. The installation gets completed. If you checked in the package.json, you have to see the information. So you can see like Angular/Material is installed. Okay, the very important thing is if you are having any changes in your package, you have to rerun your application. Okay, so before rerunning, I am going to install one more package. This is for the Authentication.js for showing the traditional notification. So the command is npm install Authentication.js. So then I am providing this save option. So let me install this one also. Okay, this Authentication.js also gets installed. So let me stop and rerun once again. Terminate the batch up. Yes. So I'm going to run once again npm start. So even if I'm using this npm start, so it will execute the command of ngserve only. Okay, our application is loaded. So let me go to the components. In the components, so we have n number of components. So when I come to this autocomplete, they have provided the complete information. So let me take this one of the basic one. So the data records are loaded. If I want to check the code, so you have to click this view code option. So it will show the HTML, what HTML we supposed to use, what are the TS changes, and what are the style changes. It will contain all the information. It's not only for the autocomplete. So we have the form controls like input, text area, date picker, and form field, and the tables and the paginator with the search options. So let me complete my login screen using this component. So the first thing is I am going to take one of the card. So if I need to use this card option, so let me click this view code. So in the view code, we have only one small section. So let me copy it. So where is my login component? Okay, I'm just included. And also we have to include this API. API is nothing but models. So in the material UI, all the components have their own models. So let me create one common model for this material UI. So inside the source, I'm going to create one TS file. The name is material model.ts. So inside that, export class material model. So next important thing is that every model should be defined with the ng model decorator. Okay, this is done. And here I'm going to use this exports option. So in this export, I'm going to use this mat card model. If it is not coming, we have to include it manually. So import at angular/material/card. So our model name is mat card model. Okay, this is done. So let me copy and use to here. Okay, we have completed in our material model. Now let me go to the component. So in the component, we have the import section. Here I'm going to include this model, material model. So actually our component is standalone component. That's what I'm including in this import section. So in case it's not standalone, then we have to include in the model section. So in the model we have the import. In this import only we are supposed to include. So here I have included. Let me save it. Now we have to see our output. Okay, we have one small sample card. So in the card we have some sections. So let me check the note. So if you noted here, the card have the section is mat card title and this content footer. We have the different section. So let me copy this card title. I'm going to remove this one. So instead of that, I'm just added this title and also let me copy this user login. Okay, it's somewhat it looks fine. So then we have to include two fields. One is for username and another one is for the password. So let me go to the input side. So we can use this basic one. So let me copy the full HTML code. So I'm going to include this section in this mat card content. Okay, here actually I'm used this mat form field and mat label and this mat input. So we have to include this our model in our material.model. So first I'm going to add the form model, mat form field. So this one also not coming. So let me copy and I have to input manually. So this one is for form field and the next one is for input and the third one is for button and the next one is for table, because we are going to definitely use these all the models. So that's what I'm including like this model. This one actually we already included. So anyway, And the next one is mat form field model. And the third one is mat input model. Fourth one is mat button model. And the final one is mat table model. Okay. So now let me include everything in our export section. Mat card model. The second one is mat form model. The second one is mat form model. So then mat input, then mat button. Because these are the one-time change, so let me include everything. So we can see the output. Okay, loaded two form fields. So let me make some changes in our design point of view. So the first one is username. And this value also not required. So in the placeholder, I'm going to give username and the name. Again, it should be username only. So the second one is text area. Defaultly they have provided, but I'm going to use the input because the password we supposed to use this input only. And the type should be password. And the name is password. Again, this text name also password. Okay, now we have our username password, but both are in the same line. So let me inspect this one. Actually, we need to apply some style. Okay, this class ng star inserted. So let me take this one. I am going to include in our login.css file. The width I am going to give 100%. Okay, now let me see. I hope it's fine. And then we have to include the login button. So the button also we have the component. We already added the model also. So we can use this button. So let me go to the code. So let me take both of the things because one I can use for the login and other one I supposed to use for our registration purpose. Here I'm going to give one more div section. So in the div I'm added both the buttons. The first one should be login and the second one is register. And the first one type also should be submit. Okay, for the registration, basically we have to navigate for our registration page. Instead of this button, I am going to provide the anchor tag. So let me see the design. Okay, it looks fine. Anyway, I am going to include some margin. So design you have to manage based on your requirement. Okay, now it looks much better. And if required, you have to give the border and some other things also. So as of now, I am not going to concentrate more on the designing part. So let me concentrate on the function. Okay, we have completed our design. So let me implement the functionality. For implementing the functionality, there are two things are required. The first one is service, and the second one is we have to choose the form type. So in the Angular, basically we have two types of forms. The first one is template driven form and another one is reactive form. So now you may have the doubt. So which form is better? Whether it's a template driven form or else this reactive form. So it's all about the requirement. So you just consider this TDF. So using this template driven form, we have to manage everything from our HTML side. Most of the changes we can handle from our HTML side, but it is suitable for small forms like our login screen. And the second one is reactive forms. In this reactive forms, the logics and validations, everything we have to handle from our TS file. So this one is suitable for mainly handling these complex logics, or else if you have more than n number of controls, so then you have to go with this reactive form. So for explaining this template driven form, I am going to use this login page. For explaining this reactive form, I am going to use our registration page. That's all about my plan. So before going to implement this form, I am going to implement these services because this service also one of the standalone feature in the Angular. So using these services, we can call our external services and we can handle the HTTP request. So let me create it. For generating any services, our CLI command is ng generate and service short form is yes. I am going to create the service in one of the folder. So let me create the folder also, service slash. So my service name is user. Okay, our service gets generated. So let me go to the service folder. So here we have the spec file and another one is our TS file. This spec file is not required, so we can remove it. So this is for implementing the unit testing. Okay, the services. So the every service it's defined using this at injectable decorator. Okay. And also if you are using the services for handling these HTTP services, then you have to include the HTTP client model in our app.model. So let me include it, HTTP client model. Okay, this one also it's not coming. If it is not coming, we have to include it manually. So let me include it, import from at angular slash common slash HTTP. So our model name is HTTP client model. Let me include in this import section also. Okay, this is done. So now let me go to the service once again. So in the service, I am going to inject this HTTP client. So now our service is ready. So here we have to create our functions. So using the functions, we can call our external services. So the first function is proceed login. So basically our input is username and password. It should come in the object format. So let me provide the input also, input data. And the data type is the object. So let me provide as the any, because we are not created the model class. That's what I'm providing like this. Okay. So now let me explain my service. So I am already have the created .NET Core services. So it's in running mode. So here we have the services user slash authenticate. So it is expecting the parameters username and password. So my username is admin user and the password is admin. So basically it will validate my credentials. If it's valid, then it will generate the token and it will return. So this token we have to use in our application. That's all about the concept. Okay, great. It's working fine only. So let me take this URL. So in the proceed login function, I'm going to return this.http and our method type. So our method type is post method only. Let me show you. This is the post method. Then we have to choose as the post. So the post method basically expecting two parameters. The first one is our URL, and the second one is we have to pass the data. That's it. Now we have completed in our service side. So let me go to the component. Here I am going to complete the changes for our forms. So as I mentioned, our form is template driven form for the login functionality. So here we have the HTML element of forms. Here I am going to apply my changes. So my form is login form, and this is the ng form. Okay. And if you are using form, you should import the form model in our component or else the model. So this is a standalone component. So let me include in the component itself. So the first step is done. And here I am going to write the event also. So the event is click event. It's not an click event, it's a submit, form submit. So here I am going to include the function name, proceed login. And in this proceed login, I am going to pass the form value. So this is my form identifier dot value. So let me define this function also in our component. So whatever value it's coming, so let me add in the console, then we have to verify. So now we just completed in the form. So similar way we have to include some changes in our input also. So the first change is we have to include ng model. So the same way I am going to include in this password also. And both the fields are required. So let me include this required property also. Most of the changes we have done. So let me save it. And I'm just also console also. So currently we don't have any data. Now let me click this login button. Okay, nothing has happened. Why? Because we have included this button section is out of the form. So let me cut, and everything I'm going to include inside the form. Now let me try once again. So when I'm clicking, I am able to get the values. The username, password, both are empty. At the same time, we have applied this required field validation. That's what the red color is coming. And also you have to see this star symbol. Now let me try to give some values. Admin, and this password also admin. So when I'm clicking, so now I am able to get this username and password values. Okay. But before that, I need to check the validation. So what I'm going to do, so instead of this form.value, I'm going to pass the complete form. So in the console side, I'm going to add the first one is the form.valid. So it will return whether the form contains the valid data or not. And the second one is value. So let me click this login. See, it's saying false, and also it's saying the data also empty. If I'm providing the valid data admin, now it's saying true and also it's returning the data. So currently we have our form and the design and also services. So let me integrate everything. So in order to we can complete the functionality, first I'm going to check whether it's valid or not. So if it is valid, then only I'm going to allow. Otherwise nothing is happened. So actually I need to call these services in our login.component. So let me inject the service first. Private service. So our service is user services. Okay, this is fine. Here I am going to call our method. So this dot service. So our method name is proceed login, the same. Here I am going to pass this data login dot value. So the next thing is we have to subscribe it, because whatever values in this HTTP request all are in the observable format only. So without a subscription, this observable is won't work. So basically this observable is belongs to the RxJS. So let me explain it later. Before that, I'm going to complete this functionality. So inside the subscription, I'm going to use this callback function. So this step is very common for calling any services. So just to subscribe it, then you have to use the callback function. So in this item, basically whatever response we are getting from our API, it will come. So let me show you. Console.log dot item. I'm not going to add directly, so let me initiate one more variable. Resp data type is any, and first I'm going to assign this resp data, this dot resp data equal to item. Now I'm going to include this one in the console. So we can pass some data here. Admin user. So this is my valid record and password is admin. So it's returning the object. So it contains two sections. So one is JWT token and another one is the refresh token. So in case if I'm providing some invalid password, so it's returning this 401 error, or else we are getting some other errors only. Okay. So let me take this valid scenario. If this dot response data not equal to null, and the next one is the else scenario. So in the else, I'm going to give basic alert. Then we have to modify into alertify.js. So the login failed. That's it. So once I got this value, I'm going to include in this local storage or session storage. So in the Angular, we can handle the state management in different ways. We can use this NGRX cookie, or else we can go with a local storage or session storage. So let me use this local storage dot set item token. So this is the key name, and the value I'm going to use the JWT token. So this dot response data dot JWT token. Okay, we have done. So now let me clear if there is any values in this what is called the local storage. So already I'm having some value, so let me remove it. Okay, I have removed all the data, and also in this login component startup time itself, I am going to clear the complete local storage. Okay, this one also done. Now let me try to log in. Admin user and admin. Okay, it's just succeeded look like, because we are not getting any error. So let me check in this local storage. Yes, in the local storage it's added. So basically our login is success means we have to redirect our home page. That's all about the concept. So let me do the navigation also. For doing the navigation, we have to inject our router, private route and router. So once I'm added in the local storage, I'm going to navigate into home page. So this dot route dot navigate. Here I have to provide our path name. So the path name is home. So let me try once again. Admin user and admin. So it's just redirected into our home page. So hereafter we should have the links are only logout only we supposed to have in this area. So the register we already moved in this login page itself. So let me change it. So in this app component, I just removed this register. So instead of this login, I'm going to use logout. So now let me try to click this logout. Okay, now it comes to our login page. So now let me going to provide this link for this registration. So in the login page, the registration, I am going to provide one of the event. The click. So here redirect register. So let me copy the function. I'm going to define it. So already we defined this route.navigate. So let me take this one. So after that, I need to check the path. Okay, access slash register. Okay, just to saved it. So I'm going to click this register. So it's just a redirected to our register page. So now let me log out once again. So actually we have implemented our login. So currently I'm not yet logged in. Okay, but still the menu is showing. This is not the correct way. So let me disable this menu until I'm logged in. For doing this one, let me go to our app component. So in the app component, so in this banner side, I am going to use one of the directive ngif. So the value is menu visible, and I have to declare the property also. So initially I am going to provide the value as true. Okay. So actually our login component is loaded top of our app component. So we have to check after our all the components are get loaded. So here I am going to implement one of the lifecycle cook. Do check. So let me implement it. Okay. So my idea is I'm going to check currently I'm in the which page. If I'm in the login page, I don't show the header. If I'm not in the login page, I will show the header. That's all about my plan. So for getting the current activated route, so I have to use the router option. So let me create the constructor here. So let me inject the router here, and also let me inject the router. Okay, great. Here I am going to check the router value. Constant current route or else route URL. So this dot route dot, so the URL. So let me include this one in the console. Okay, we have done. Let me go to the console. Okay, ngid. Actually, it's a ngif. I think I made a spelling mistake. Okay, it's saying underscore login. So if I'm go to the home, it will show slash home. So let me copy this slash login. So let me implement the function here. If current route is double equal to login, then I have link. So this dot is visible menu equal to false. Else I have to make this as a true. So we can verify once again. So currently I'm in the home page. I'm able to see this complete menu. So when I'm going to the login page, so the menu gets gone. I can see only the login content only. So currently I'm not yet logged in. If I'm trying to go to the home page, it's allowing. Basically, what is the expected output? If I'm not logged in, if I'm trying to give this home URL also, it should be redirected in our login page. That's our expected result. For implementing this functionality, Angular provides the wonderful option is called the Angular CRUD. So CRUD also is a kind of service only. So let me create and I will explain how to implement in our application. For creating this one, the command is ng generate, and this is the card. So the short name is G. I'm going to create one of the folder also, and my card is art card. Okay, it's asking which option we supposed to choose. So let me choose this can activate. That is more than fine. So let me go to this card folder. Here also we have one spec file. It's not required. So let me remove it. Okay. So basically it's returning true only. So in this place only we supposed to implement our logic. Let me copy my auth card. Now I'm going to our routing model. So in the routing model, first I am going to apply this is for our home. Can activate auth card. So the idea is, so if this auth card is returning true, then only it will activate this link. otherwise it won't allow. That's all about the concept. So if required, we have some custom implementation that also we can do in our card itself. So defaultly it's returning true, so let's make it as the false. Okay, currently I'm in the login page. If I'm trying to give the home also, so nothing will be loaded. It's just redirected in the normal page. And trying to click this home, that also it's not working. Okay, so in case if I'm trying to give true, now it's working fine. If I'm click the home, it's working. So here I am going to implement my logic. So first I am going to check whether I'm logged in or not. If I'm not logged in, I'm going to redirect in our login page. That's all about my plan. So first let me go to our services. So in this service, I'm going to write one function. It's called is logged in. So inside that, I'm going to check this local storage value. Local storage dot get item of. So our key value is token. Return not equal to null. So this function basically it will check this local storage. If it is having this token value, it will return the true. If it don't have any value, it will return the false. That's all about the concept. And also I'm going to create one more function, get token. So let me copy the same thing here. If it is having the token, I am going to return the token. If it is don't have any value, then let me return as the empty. That's it. So now let me implement this is logged in our art card. So let me remove this one, and here I'm going to create one constructor. So in the constructor I'm going to inject the services, and the service name is user services, and also I'm going to inject our router also because we need to navigate in our login page. Okay, first I am going to check. So this dot service dot is logged in. So if it's returning true, I am also going to return as the true only. The else scenario, I am going to return false. It's showing some error. Okay, this is fine. And as I mentioned, I need to redirect in our login page. So if required, we have to provide some messages also. Please log in and access it. So now in the error page, so let me go to the login page. Okay, login page is working fine. I am trying to give the home page. So it's saying please log in and access it. If I'm clicking this alert, so it's just redirected in our login page. So let me remove this alert. It's not looks good. So let me give this what is called our home link once again. So it's not allowing. So in case if I'm trying to give the contact, It will allow. Why? Because we have implemented this art card for our home only. So now let me include this is for our all the paths. I'm added for this uh, card, and also I'm going to include this is for our contact also. Yeah, this is the correct place only. Okay, fine. And this access and login, it's not required because these are the open functionalities, so anyone can access. Okay, now let me provide this about. It's simply redirecting to our login page. So if I'm trying to give the valid credential admin user admin, so it's just a redirecting to our home page. So now I'm able to access this about us and the contact. Okay, great. This is all about our login. Now I'm going to implement this registration. For implementing this registration, I'm going to use this reactive forms. Okay. First, let me complete this registration. I mean the design. So after that, we have to complete our services and also our form related changes. So where is my component registration? So it's available inside this access. Okay. Let me copy something from our login page for the design purpose. So the design only I just copied. So it's a user registration, and I'm going to remove this all the things because in the reactive forms it's something different. And here, so the first one is username, it's fine, and this ng model required and the name, these all the things are not required. And the next one is password, that I supposed to keep it. Required type, yeah, type, let me keep it. Name ng model is not required. So instead of this login, I'm going to the button name is register, and the next button is basically it's not required. So otherwise I can give like a close. Okay, this one also fine. Redirect it to login. So let me complete this one. Here already we have the constructor, and let me inject our router here. Okay, this dot router dot navigate login. Okay, fine. And what else we have? We don't have any function. And let me check the service also. Okay, it's showing a lot of error. First let me resolve this error. Why? Because in this material model I need to import in our main model. So my model name is access model. So let me import it, then only the issue get resolved. Material model. Okay, great. It's loaded fine. And we have to apply one of the style also. Okay, fine. And we have some other fields also. Let me check in the services. Okay, let me check this one. Okay, great. We have the 6 fields: the user ID, the name, password, email. So let me provide these 4 values only. The role and is active. Currently I'm not going to provide because I have some third process. Let me explain little later. So first we have to complete this registration using these fields. So currently we have the username. Before that I am going to include the user ID also. So user ID, okay, fine, and the username, password. Finally we have the email also. Email. For this email, this is not required, and yeah, this one also email. Okay, this is my registration page. So there are 4 fields I'm having. So here I'm going to apply for the reactive. So in the reactive forms, as I mentioned, we can mostly handle from our TS file itself. So first I'm going to define my reactive form using the form group. So the reactive form equal to new form group. So inside the form group, I am going to define my controls. So my first field is user ID. New form control of. So if there is any default value, we have to provide. So I am going to provide the empty only. And the second field is name. Again, the procedure is same. So the default value is empty. So let me copy the same thing. So this one is for password, and the final one is for email. So let me format it. And the next step is we have to include the validations. So the user ID is the required field only. For adding the validator, we have the class is validators. So using that, we have to include dot required, and the second one also required field, and this password also. The finally email. So in the email, I'm going to include two validations. So should not be an empty, and also it should match in the correct email format. Okay. So let me show you. Actually, we have the different validation options. So the email, the maximum length, the minimum length. So if you have any pattern, that also we have to include here. And for this scenario, I'm going to include this email and also the required. For including more than one validation, we have to use the email.compose option. So email.compose option. So inside that we can have one array. First I'm going to use this validators.required, and the second one is validators.email. Okay, great. Our validations also added. So now I'm going to integrate this reactive form with our design. So let me copy it. So in this form, I'm going to use form group equal to, and also the event, I'm going to use the ng submit. Save user. So here I'm going to define the function also. And we have done for our form. Next we have to add the connection for our controls. For doing this one, form control name. So please note it starts from small letter, this control C is caps, and also the name, this N is caps. So here you have to provide the names. The name should be what actually we have mentioned in our reactive form. So both are should be same. So the first one is, yeah, this is the user ID only. And the second one is username. The username is nothing but the name. And the third one is password. And the final one is email. So let me save it. Okay, wait, saying the form group. Okay. So the first thing is, if you are using this reactive forms, you should import this reactive form model in our model page. So let me do it. Reactive form model. If you are using template driven form, you have to include this form model. So the reactive form, then you have to include this reactive form model. Okay, see now the issue got resolved. So if I'm clicking this register without any value, so it's simply saying it's complete an error. So what are the required fields? You have to see this star symbol also. Now let me try to get all the values from these forms. So in the TS file, I am going to add this console. The steps almost are same because I am using the same pattern for the template driven form and also this reactive form for the understanding purpose. So this dot our reactive form dot value. Okay. So this is done. So let me go to the console. No value access for the form control with a name of email. Okay, yeah, I made a mistake. Actually, I have included in this form field. I supposed to include this in our input control only. So this is the copy paste mistake. Okay, it's fine. Now see, there is no error. I'm going to provide the user ID. So nt user 1 user 1 and password is test 123. So whatever it is. So if I'm clicking this register, so see whatever value it's coming. User ID is nt user 1 and the name, the password, the email ID, whatever value I have to provide it, it's coming. So in case if I'm trying to get this name only, I'm able to get. So after the value, I'm just clicking. So see here I am getting all the values like email or name or password or user ID. So this feature also introduced in our Angular 14 only. This is called as what typed forms. Okay. So previously this option was not available, but you have to use like this the name. So in case if I'm providing this wrong name, okay. So currently it's showing the error and also it's giving some suggestions. So do you want to use this name, and using this quick fix option, change the spelling to name. It's resolved. So in the previous version we don't have the options like that. So in case if I'm providing this name one also, it will take it. When I'm running time, it will throw the error. So it's this typed form feature is completely saving our developer time. Okay. So anyway, we are getting this value, and here we have to call our services and we have to complete our registration functionality also. So for doing this one, we need the services. So let me create my services. So already we have one service. Yes, a user service. So I can use the same service also. So let me create the function registration. So here also the steps are almost the same because the input is anyway the object only. So let me copy the same line. Okay. So this dot http. So our method is post method. That's what I am provided the post. In case if you have an get method, so we have the option is called get. The put method, we have the put and post. The patch option also there. So the delete, we have to use the delete. So definitely I will complete on CRUD operation also. At that time I will explain with an correct data. So now let me complete this registration option. Okay. So I need this URL also. So let me go to the Swagger. Okay, I just copied and I'm going to change the value here. Okay. So this one also done. Now let me come to our registration component. So in the component already I'm injected this router. Now I'm going to inject our service also. So our service is user service only. Here also first I am going to check the data are valid or not. So this dot reactive form dot valid. So if it is valid, I'm going to call the services. So this dot service dot registration and our input. So we don't have any parameter. We're supposed to take from our form itself. So this dot reactive form dot value. And again it also the observable only. So let me subscribe it. For the subscription procedure is same for all the methods, whether you are using this post, put, get, delete, whatever it is, the procedure is same. And here also I'm going to declare one of the property. This dot resp data equal to item. So let me format it. So once our registration is completed, I am plan to redirect in our what is called our login page. So before that, I need to give some alert. That's my plan. If this dot so response data. So first let me check the response, what actually it's coming. So based on that we have to proceed. So console.log. Okay, fine. Now let me try to click this one, this register. So nothing is coming in this console. Okay, the validation is blocking. And I'm going to give end user Ravi name and password also Ravi. So basically we can apply more validations for the learning purpose. I'm just providing the basic values. Okay, I'm getting the result is pass and the key value is empty. So anyway, I'm getting this pass result only. So let me open the SQL server. Okay, it will take some time. Meanwhile, we can complete our functionality. Anyway, we have the field is a result. So if it is pass, then we have to give this success scenario. Otherwise, it should be failed. So double equal to pass. So positive scenario. Otherwise, I have to show the alert message. Failed. Try again. So the pass scenario, I am going to redirect into our login page. So this dot route. Okay, router I'm not injected here. Yeah, actually injected. Okay, router dot navigator. So anyway, we have the function also. I'm going to just reuse it. Redirect. Okay. And before that, I need to show the alert message. Registered successfully. Please contact admin for activation. So the idea is I'm trying to allow all the user to register it, but the admin can see all the records. So admin only assign the roles and also he will activate the user. Then only the user can access our application. That's all about my concept. So look like SQL server is loaded. So let me execute the query. So here we have to see the records. So the user ID and the name, the password, the email also there. The role is not assigned. And this is active also currently null. So if I'm trying to access using this credential, basically it's not going to allow. Okay. So we have to insert one more record and we have to verify whether the alert also working fine or not. So nt user2 nt@in.com and this password and the email is nt@in.com. Okay. So when I'm clicking this registration, it's saying registered successfully. Please contact admin for the activation. But this alert is not fine, so we have to use this alertify.js. So it will give some rich look and feel. So let me implement that alert also because we already installed the package. So we have some steps. So the steps are in the list. So first we have installed these packages. Then we have to include the CSS in our style.cs file. So let me go to the style.css. Here I am going to include one more style also. So the default.min.css. So once it's done, we have to import this in our component. So let me copy it. So let me go to our registration component. I just included it, will showing some error. Then we have to create one file, alertify.d.ts. So in the source, I'm creating one new file. Okay, it's created. So inside, I'm going to declare this model. We need to include this type root section. So in the type roots, we have to mention this path and also this node model /types. For doing this one, let me go to the ts.config. Here I'm going to use the type root. Okay, the configuration is done. Hereafter we can use the feature of the Authentication.js. So now let me go to the registration component. So instead of this direct alert, I'm going to use this Authentication. So Authentication.success. So inside that, I am going to provide the same message. In case it's failed, then we have to give the error. Okay, now let me go to the registration page once again. Here I'm going to give the user ID ntuser3 and Ramesh rm@tin.com. Okay, the password I supposed to give, and raba@tin.com. So if I'm clicking this registration, see the notification is coming. The registered successfully. Please contact the admin for the validation. And also it's just redirected our login page. Now let me show you the one more scenario for showing the error. I'm trying to give the same ID. ntuser1. If I'm trying to register, it won't allow because we not included other fields. Ramesh. So I'm expecting some error. See now failed, try again. Actually, I'm not providing the exact error message. Even my service also it's not returning. But I'm providing the duplicate user ID. That's what I'm getting this error. So let me show you once again. See, failed, try again. If required, you have to provide your own messages also. So now we have completed our registration also. So let me check the topics. So here we have completed our services, and this route card we have seen on basic example, and consuming this external API. We have consumed two services. One is for registration and another one is for our login. Both are the post method only. I will show you this get method also a little later. So anyway, I'm going to mark both are completed. So the interceptor as of now we not used. The forms we have used both the forms, the template driven form and also the reactive form, the material UI. So let me mark both are completed. And this RxJS. So we use the feature of RxJS, but I'm not explained properly. And the next one is state management. So we used this local storage. Anyway, let me keep it as not completed. So we will see a little later. And this notification using this Authentication.js, it's already done. And this unit testing also pending. So the real-time implementation, we have completed this login and sign up from both the functionalities. So my next plan is I'm going to create one more page. The page name is user. So in this user page, I'm going to load all the users. So when I'm trying to register some of the users, it will be loaded in my user page. But it has one restriction. The admin only can access the particular page. Once all the users are loaded, the admin have the option for the activating the user. So admin will click the activation button. It will show one pop-up. In the pop-up, we have the options for activation or deactivation, and also we have the option for assigning the role. So based on the role, user can access our complete application. That's all about my plan. First, I'm going to create the component here. ng generate component. My component name is user. Okay, look like our component is created. I am going to add this component in our route model. After the about, I am going to include it. Just a user, and the component is user component. So I'm going to add in the menu also. So after this contact, so let me log in first. Admin user, admin. Here I'm going to load the user details. So for loading these details, I'm going to use the component is table. So first let me consider this basic one. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm just copying the complete HTML section from here. So user details. So let me remove this one. Okay, this is added. So definitely it will show some error. Okay, it's fine. Okay, I just added the HTML the same way. I'm going to include the style and the TS file changes also. So in the style point of view, we have only one small change. So let me include it. Now this TS. So in the TS file, if you noted, they have one array. The data are hard coded only. So anyway, I'm going to copy. Then we will make it as the dynamic. Okay, this one is added, and also I'm going to take these two things. Okay, we have added, and the final one is we have to include the model. So actually this user component is belongs to our app model only. So let me import it. So the model is material model. So if you check this material model, already I have included this mat table model. Okay, now see the error also got resolved. So we can see this default output. Okay, the data are loaded, but the design is not good. So let me do some changes here. I'm going to create one div. So the width I'm going to give some pixel. Okay, and also I'm going to cut this class. Okay, now it's somewhat good. Let me keep this user detail in the outside of our div. That is fine. Okay, it's fine. So as of now, we have the one hardcode data only. Now I'm going to load the data dynamically from our services. So let me explain our service here. For loading the complete user information, our service is API/user master. So actually I'm getting this 401 error because the service is completely secured one. We have to pass the authentication token, then only we are able to access. Let me copy this URL. Now I'm going to the Postman. Here I'm going to open the new tab, and our method is get method only. So I just pasted the URL also. And as I mentioned, this is the secured service. Then we have to pass the authorization header here. So the key is authorization, and my token is barrier token. So let me provide barrier, some small face. So here we need to provide our token. So let me generate my token. For generating the token, we have the method already. Here I am going to copy this JWT token only. See, now it's returning the data. So the entity have the fields are user ID, name, password, email, role, and is active. So what I'm going to do, let me create one model first, because this creating model I am not explained previously. So we can complete that also. So inside the app, I'm going to create the folder is model, and this model is for the user. So I'm going to create one file also. I mean the class file, user model .ts. So the model is created. Here I'm going to define my interface. So the name is user model, and we have to export it, then only we can use. So here we have to define our properties. Just copied all the properties. The first one is user ID and the type is string. The second one is name. For this type also it's a string only. Then this password, email, and role. The final one is active. So for is active, the data type is boolean, and this role, this is the string only. Again the other two is also string. Okay, we have completed our user model. Next I'm going to create the service. So ng generate service, the folder of service. So my service name is user master. So our service is generated. Let me go to the service folder. So this file is not required. So in the service, first I'm going to inject the HTTP client, and let me define my API URL. Now I am going to create the function for getting all the user. This dot HTTP dot get. So only one parameter, that is our API URL. Okay, we have done our first method, and the second method also one of the get method only. So this is for getting the individual user details. get user by ID. So the input is user ID, the type is any. So inside the URL we have to pass the user ID also. So that method is for delete. So this one also looks similar only. And get, not a get, remove user. And here also we need to pass this user ID. So instead of I'm going to change into delete. So we have two more methods. One is for a save. I'm not going to use the save. Instead of that, I'm going to use the update status method. So let me check the service here. Okay, under the user master, we have this activate user. So let me copy this one. And the final method is for updating the status. Update user. And the input is object. Basically, I'm going to pass the user ID and also the status and the role. Based on the user ID, the API will update the status and this role. That's all about my plan. So input data. So the type is post. The post method basically expecting two parameters. One is our URL. Yeah, this is our URL. Then we have to pass our data also. So let me format it. So we have completed our changes from our services. So in the previous one, the user services, there is no authentication. Okay. So this is the completely public service. So anyone can access. But this user master is completely secured services. That means we have to pass the authorization header. So passing the authorization header, we can do it from our service itself. But the traditional way, basically we have to use this HTTP interceptor. So that is the one-time change. It will work for all the services. So let me complete that also. So the HTTP interceptor also one of the service. So let me create the service first. Ng generate service. And I'm going to provide the name is token interceptor because we are going to pass the token. Okay, the service is generated. So in this token interceptor class, I'm going to implement the HTTP interceptor. Okay, this HTTP interceptor have one method is called intercept. So let me implement it. Okay, this one also done. So let me remove this throw section. Here I'm going to implement my logic. Okay. So let JWT token equal to, so the request dot clone of, here I'm going to return next dot handle of JWT token. So inside the clone, I'm going to pass our headers. So the set header, here I'm going to pass the object. So our token type is authorization token. And my token type is bearer, then small space. So here we need to pass our token. Okay, this is fine. So actually our token is available in the local storage. So let me take this one first. Local storage dot get item of, and our key name is token. Okay, now we have done. And the second step is, once we completed our HTTP interceptor, we have to register in our model class. So my model is app model. So in the app model, we have the section is called provider. Here I am going to use one object. So the first one is provide. Provide is HTTP interceptor, and the second one is use class. The class is token interceptor class. That's what we have created. And finally we are going to use this class for multiple places, so the multi also true. Okay, now we have completed. So let me go to the our user component. So in the user component, first I am going to inject the services. Yeah, this is the user master service, and also I am going to create one function. Get all user, and let me define one object also, user detail. Here I am going to get the data. So this dot service dot get all user. So let me subscribe it. So whatever data is coming, I'm going to set in the object. So let me format it. I'm going to put all the values in the console, then we have to verify the data are coming or not. Once it's fine, we have to bind in our table. That's all about my plan. So let me go to the console. Okay, there is no value. Yes, actually I have created the function, but I'm not called anywhere. Actually, I'm getting this 404 error. So let me try to log out and log in once again. So in the console, I am able to see this array. So the array contains all the user information. Okay. And also I have created one model class. So let me implement that also. So if you have the model class, then you have to do it from our service itself. Where it is our services, the master service. So this is our method. If you not provide anything, it will just consider as the normal observable only. So let me define it. So observable of, and our model is user model. So this is the array, and here also Okay, this is fine. So let me check once again. So again I'm getting the same value, that is fine. Okay, so let me go to the user component. So the first thing is we have to define what are the columns we are going to display. So our first column is user ID, and the second one is name, and the third one is email, and the fourth one is active. Is active, and the final one is role. Okay, I have defined the columns. Now let me go to the HTML side. So if we consider about this HTML section, first we have to define the columns one by one. So the first column is user ID, and this is the display name section. So we can provide like this. And what element I'm going to bind, that is the user ID only. And the second one is name. So name we have to keep the same. And the third one is, so let me check once again. I think this is the email. And here also it's the email. And this one is active. So display name I'm provided just active. And the final one is role. So if you don't have, you have to copy and then you have to create it. Role and this role. Okay, we have done one change. And the second thing is, as of now in this data source we are having the hard-coded data. So let me remove it. So then let me go to our get all user method. So once we got the details, I'm going to encode it. If it is not defined at the top of that, I'm going to define it. That's it. So the data type we can give any. Let me check once again. Okay, if you noted here, so we are getting the values. So the user ID, name and email. The active side there is no data, and this role also comes fine. So let me check why the values is not coming. For this is active, the A should be caps. So let me change it. And we have to change in this column section and also our model. Yeah, here actually we defined the correct way only. So let me check once again. Okay, the data are loaded. So let me rebind this active column. So instead of this active, I'm going to give the status. And also if it is true, I'm going to provide us the active. If it is false, then I'm going to give us the inactive. So let me complete that also. The span active and the another span is inactive. Here I'm going to use the ng if. Okay, let me check now. Yeah, this is more than fine. And finally, I'm going to provide one more column. This is for action. So the first thing is we have to provide in our display section active, not active, it's a action. So now let me go to the HTML side. So instead of the role, I'm going to use this action. And this one, the header should be action, that is fine. And the detail side, so instead of this data binding, I'm going to use two buttons. For adding the buttons, let me go to our button component here. So let me take these two. The first name is change and the second one is for delete. Okay, see now it's fine, but we have to provide some space. Okay, now it's almost good. Okay, here we loaded all the user details. Now we have to implement this change functionality. So before that, I'm going to include this pagination. That also very important thing. Let me take this example, mat paginator. I'm going to include in the table or the table once the table is completed. I think we have to include one of the model paginator. Yes. So let me go to the material model. Paginator, mat paginator model. Okay, now it's fine. So let me check. Okay, we have the pagination. So in the item for page, we have to see the 5, 10, 25 and 100. So if you required, you have to change this one also. So let me show you. So whatever value we have provided in this array, it will come automatically, and also the page size. So default value is 10. So in case if I'm trying to give 3 and the page size is if I'm providing 5, so then it's supposed to load 5 records for the page. But I just included this paginator. I am not yet integrated with our table record. For doing this one, we have to do some changes in our TS file. So in the TS file, we have to use this mat table data source. So let me do it. So here I'm going to pass our array data, and if you know the model, then we can mention that also. User model. Okay, this is the one step. And also I'm going to get the paginator using this view child option. At view child of mat paginator. Okay, defined this paginator. I'm going to include this for our data source. So this dot data source dot paginator equal to our defined paginator. So we have done it. Admin user and admin. Okay, see now the records are loaded. So only 5 records only loaded. So if I'm changing into 3, it's loaded only the 3 records and the next button is enabled. So if I'm selecting 10 records, so these two options are get disabled. So this is all about the paginator. And the similar way we can include this sorting also, sorting and search functionality we can include. So for the time consumption, I'm going to move on this, implementing this change functionality. So in the buttons, I'm going to include 2 functions first. So the event is click event only. So function update. And here I'm going to pass one value. So the value is nothing but our user ID. And the same way, I'm going to include one more button. This is delete. And also I'm going to define both the functions, otherwise it will throw some error. Okay, one function is created. The similar way I'm going to create one more function for our delete. So first I'm going to complete this delete functionality because this is the very easiest one. So this dot service remove user and user ID. Subscribe. So once it's deleted, I'm going to reload the table. And also we can provide the success message. We already implemented the Authentication in our one of the model. This is our registration model. So let me copy the import section. Yes. So other than the configuration we already done. Removed. Okay, this is completed. So we can verify now. So if I'm clicking this end user one, so it's just removed and also the record also gone. So let me load all the records. Okay. Now I am trying to delete this end user 2. So it's removed. So basically if you are implementing this remove functionality, you have to use this confirm box. So directly deleting the user, it's not the correct way. So in this Alertify.js, we have the confirm box also. I'm going to use this one first. So let me use this Alertify confirm here. So the first parameter is header. Remove user, and the second one is confirmation message. Do you want remove this user? And the third one is one of the callback function. So this is our OK button, and the final one is for close button. So in the close button we are not going to write anything, but in the OK button click we have to include our delete function. So currently I'm having just 2 records only. I'm going to register the button. Let me register it. So user 1, test user, test. Okay, it's registered. Now I'm going to log in. Admin user, admin. Okay, so whatever record I have just registered, it's loaded here. So it's in the inactive state. So if I'm trying to delete, so it will ask. The header is remove user. Do you want to remove this user? If I'm clicking this cancel, nothing will happen. So in case if I'm clicking this OK, it will delete and it will say removed successfully. So now our change functionality. So when I'm clicking this change, I'm going to open the model pop-up. So in the material UI, we have the option is dialog. Okay, for implementing this one, we supposed to create one model first. So ng generate component model pop-up. Okay, the pop-up is created. I mean the pop-up component is created. So now let me go to our user component. So I already defined one function. So if I need to use this dialog, then I have to include the model for the dialog. So let me copy this one. I'm going to provide this dialog mat dialog model. So once this step is completed, in our user component in the constructor side, I'm going to inject mat dialog. Now in this function, I'm going to open this pop-up. So this dot dialog dot open. So here I'm going to pass the component first. So the model pop-up. So after that, if you have any properties, then we have to include it. So the width I'm going to provide 400 pixel, and the height also I'm going to provide just 400. So if required, we have to increase little later. And for the animation duration, I'm going to provide 1000 milliseconds. Again, the ender animation duration also I'm going to provide 1000 milliseconds. And also we need to pass the data. So user ID equal to our user ID. Okay, we have completed our steps. So let me open the pop-up. See, now the pop-up is opened. Currently we don't have any design. Now let me go to the pop-up component. So here I'm going to provide the heading is update user. So as I mentioned, I'm going to use the two controls. One is for the destination update, I mean the role update, and the second one is for the checkbox. For the select, we have to include this what is called the select model, and the checkbox we need to include the checkbox model. So let me do that first. Select, and the second one is checkbox, and the model name is mat select model, and another is a mat checkbox model. So basically when you are starting the development within this material UI, you have to include all the models. That means what are the components you possibly going to use. So you have to add in the starting itself. Okay, I have done. Okay, let me copy this basic. Okay, so our label name should be role. So binding this value basically we will get from our databases. And let me complete the design first. And the second one is checkbox. I just taken the basic one. So the name is active. Okay, the two controls are loaded. So let me increase the size of the control. Hundred pixel. And this height also it's not required. Finally, I'm going to add the buttons. So let me copy both the buttons. So in this model pop-up, I'm going to include one more div. So this one is for close, and the second one is for update. Okay, the design is somewhat fine. And the second thing is, when you are implementing this say functionality, you should have to use any of the form. So I am going to use this reactive form. So let me define the form here. So update form, new form group. So it contains only two fields. The first one is a role, new user, new form control. It don't have any default value. And the validation, I'm going to give us the required. Okay, my next control is active. So here I'm going to provide the default value is true. Okay, we have completed our reactive form initialization. So let me integrate our HTML side. So the first thing is I'm going to create one form. I mean the HTML form. So inside the form, I'm going to use the form group and our event ng submit save user. So now we have completed for our form. So let me complete for the individual controls. Form control name. The first one is name role, and the second one is active. This is kind of update, so we should have the user ID. So let me declare it. So user ID new form control name. So here also the default value is empty. User ID. This placeholder and other things are not required because I am going to disable this field. Okay. So let me check. Unexpected closing tag. So can't bind this form group since this is not a known property. Okay, in our app model, I think I'm not included our reactive form model. So initially we have included that is for our access model. So model pop-up component save user not exist. Okay, we are getting errors one by one. So that also it's fine because we are getting something. Okay, great. Now we have completed our design and also the form integration. Now there are three things are pending. So the first thing is we have to load all the roles, and the second thing is we need to load the existing data. Like if I'm trying to update this demo user, then I have to load the existing status and also the existing role. So once this is completed, we have to complete our update functionality. So let me do one by one. So first I'm going to my services. So in this user master services, I am going to write one function bar get all the roles. And this also one of the get method only. This dot http dot get. So here I need to pass the API URL. So let me check from my services. So this is the method, it will return all the existing roles. Okay, this is done. Now let me go to my component. So in this component, I am going to declare one variable, role data. The data type is any. Okay. And also I'm going to declare one more variable. This is for edit data. So that also the data type is any. So here I am going to create two functions. First one is get all role, and the second one is get exist data. So first we can complete this get all role. So this dot service. Okay, actually I'm not integrated. I mean not it injected our services. So let me do that. So user master services. This is done. Get all role, and let me subscribe it. So this dot role data equal to item. Now I'm going to call this function in our onload. So currently our complete role information is available in this role data. So let me copy this one. I'm going to bind in our HTML side. So let me uncomment it. So in this empty options, let role so the entity is one is role ID and another one is name. So let me copy this role ID and another one is name. So let me refresh and we can verify. Now I am clicking this change option. See now the role. So the admin, staff and user, the three records are loaded. Now I am going to load the existing record for the particular user. So here also the procedure is same. Let me copy the whole content. So instead of this get all roles, I'm going to give get user by ID. It's expecting one parameter, that is user ID. So whatever response is coming, I'm going to include in this edit data. Okay, this is fine. Now I'm going to call this method also in our onload itself. Actually here I need to pass the user ID. So let me give some empty value as of now, otherwise it will throw some error. For getting this value, I'm going to use this inject option. Inject of mat dialog data. Data. Okay, we have added and it should be public. And this variable and the data type is any. Okay, so basically whatever value we have passed, it will come in this data. So let me include in the console, we can verify. Okay, this is fine. I am going to refresh the screen 1 second. So now let me click this change option. Okay, see, I am getting this object. So this is the key value user ID. In the user ID, I am having the value as admin user. Okay. So let me copy this one. I'm going to pass this value. So this dot data dot user ID. Okay. Now let me go to this get existing data. So the data is available in this edit data section. I'm going to check it is having data or not. Not equal to null. Then I'm going to update the values for our form. So this dot update form dot set values of. So the first one is user ID. So the user ID value is the same name. The second one is role. So again the value is this dot edit data dot role, and the final one is active. So again the value is this dot and edit data. Okay, we have completed. Now I am trying to click this what is called the demo user. So see now the user ID is loaded and this user, I mean the role also it's loaded as the user. So let me see, yes, we have the user only. Even the status, the current status is active only. Okay, it's loaded fine, but we are going to change either this role or else we are going to change this is active field only. But this one, the user ID, we are not going to change, so it should be in this disabled mode. For doing the disabled, so in the HTML we are supposed to use this disable option. So in this reactive form we can handle from our form itself. Here I am going to pass one object. So first the value is default value is empty. The similar way I am going to use disabled with true. So we can check once again. See now the field got disabled. Okay. Now we have to complete our update functionality. Here what I'm going to do, first I'm checking this dot this update form dot valid. So if it is valid only we are proceeding further. So inside that I'm going to call our services. Okay, the function is update user. Here I'm going to pass this form value, this dot. So basically we have to pass like this the value, but currently I'm used the disabled option. So in this case we supposed to use this get raw value. Okay, this is done. So let me subscribe it. So whatever value is coming, I'm going to add in one of the parameter. So let me define it. So this dot save data equal to item. Here I'm going to check. So this dot save data dot result double equal to pass in the else scenario. Here I am going to provide the alert. So alert is saved successfully. For doing the traditional alert, I am going to use this alertify.js. We already used two places. So let me take it. Yes, this import section we're supposed to use. So alertify.success updated successfully. So in the CL scenario, alertify.error failed, try again. So let me format it. So in this positive scenario, we need to close the pop-up also. For doing this one, we have the option is mat dialog ref. So let me import it. So private, so the ref mat dialog ref. Okay. Here I supposed to pass our component class. So once it's succeeded, so this dot ref dot close pop-up. I think this close. So we can check. Okay, now I'm one of the new user. I'm going to register it. So entry user 2 and the password is test. So my email ID is entry user 2 at entry.com. Okay, the registration gets succeeded. Now the admin user is coming and admin. Now he is going to the user section. So he is able to see the entry user 2 is now registered. The status is inactive. So I'm just to open the pop-up. First, I'm going to select this role as the staff and I'm changing the status also is active. Okay, it's updated successfully, but the pop-up is not closed. I think I have to include like this. See, now the status got changed. The active and the role is staff. Okay, see, the pop-up is closed. Okay. Now let me change the role once again. I'm going to change the role as user. I'm updating. So the pop-up is closed, but the data is not refreshed. Okay. So that also we can do. So initially our pop-up is opened from our user component. Here I am going to declare one variable var pop-up, or else I'm going to use the let. So in the same function I'm going to use so pop-up dot after closed. So this is the observable. So let me subscribe it. Here I am going to refresh our table. So okay, the changes are fine. Now the user in I'm in the role of user. So let me change the role, the staff. If I'm updating, see the role also got changed. Even if I'm trying to give user, so it's changed into the user. Now I'm trying to log in with this user ID. So let me log out this one. And my password is test. See, I'm able to log in. But the problem is currently I am coming as the one of the staff user. Even I am able to access this user. Even I am able to change the what is called the role or status of the admin user. This is not the fair way. So I'm going to provide some restriction. For doing this restriction, we should know the current role. Okay. So let me create one function for getting the current role. So already I'm having the token. So for extracting this token, basically I am able to get this value. So var token equal to. So already I have created one function. Okay, great. We are getting our token here. So once we got the token, we can extract and we will get our role information. So before that, let me provide some detail about our JWT token. So let me create the token once again. Admin user and admin. So let me copy this one. How the website is called JWT.io. So here I am going to provide my token. Basically, the token has three sections. The three sections are splitted using this dot separator. And the first section contains only the header. What is the type of the algorithm we used and what is the type of the token. So this is not required. And the second section is payload. So basically we are going to use this payload only. So it is having the information of the login user and the role, the expiration time. Now let me go to our application. I'm going to split this one bar extract data equal to. Okay, we have added some code. So before that I'm going to check it's not equal to null. So let me format it. Okay. So after that we will get an object. I'm going to return extract data dot role. In case else, I'm going to return as the empty. So this is all about my get role function. Now I'm going to use this get role function in our app component because here only we have defined our menu. So we already checked this do check. So let me format it. So first here I'm going to inject our services, private service and our user services. Okay, this is the one. Here I'm going to check. So this dot service dot get role double equal to admin is admin. So initially this variable should be false. If this is admin only, I'm going to make this as the true. So in the else scenario, it should be false. Now I'm going to apply the condition. So in the user menu, I'm going to use this ngif. Now I'm going to log out. First, I'm going to log in with an admin user. So the user menu is enabled. So I am able to access the particular menu. Now I am going to log out and trying to log in with an NT user. So see, now we have the home, about us, contact, but this user menu is not coming. So but in case if I know the URL, I am trying to give like this, it will allow once again. So this one also not a fair way. For doing this restriction, we have to manage in our auth card. For doing this one, let me create one more new card. Ng generate card. We have the folder is card, QART. Okay. And my card name is roll. Okay, here also I'm going to use the scan activate only. So the card gets generated. So let me go to the folder. Okay, great. First thing is I'm going to create the constructor. Then let me inject our service. So service is user services. Yes. Here first I'm going to check. So this dot service dot get roll of, it should be an admin. Else I'm going to return false. And the alert is you are not authorized to access. Okay, and also we can redirect to our home page. So that is the fair way. Private and router. So this dot route navigate off, and our route name is home. So okay, we can verify now. So let me log out once again. I'm coming with an NT user. I just logged in. Okay, actually I created this role card. As of now I'm not included. So let me complete that step, otherwise it won't work. So in this app routing model, so instead of this auth card, I am going to use the role card. Okay, now I'm going to give the URL user. So it's saying you are not authorized to access. If you click this OK, it's simply redirecting our home page. Currently I'm in the about us page. Here also I'm going to give this user. It won't allow. Now I'm trying to come with an admin user. So now I'm able to access this user page and everything. So let me provide one last demo. So I'm a fresh user. I don't have any access. So let me go to the registration screen. Even this registration screen also, this menu is supposed to not come. Let me include one more change here. Okay, this is fine. Okay, let me restart my demo once again. Okay, currently I don't have the credentials. Okay, so let me try to register it. NT user, NT user. Okay, password. So when I click the register, so the registration got successfully. You have to contact our administrator. So now administrator coming to login, admin user, and the password. So the home page is coming, the admin is coming to our user base. So here he is able to see our user, NT user. Okay, this is in the inactive mode. Now I'm going to the change option. First I'm just assigning the role as staff and also I'm activated. Okay, now I'm going to log out using this NT user. So if I'm able to log in, and here I'm able to access all the menus. Okay, now the admin user trying to make the particular user as inactive mode. Okay, updated successfully. Now the NT user status is inactive mode. Now I'm going to log in once again. So it is won't allow. Basically, I have to provide the alert. Unfortunately, my service is not working. It is returning the 401 error. So let me clear my service. Then we have to provide the exact message. So when I'm uploading the source code, I will fix this issue. Okay. So this is all about the demo. Now let me go to the topics. So most of the things we have completed. For this real-time implementation, activate and deactivate user by the admin user. So this is done. So the customer CRUD operation. So we already completed the CRUD operation. Okay, actually I'm not used the customer CRUD operation. Instead of that, in the user menu itself, we have completed. When I am trying to register, I am creating the new record. So I loaded all the records in the user base. So admin user trying to update. So the update operation also done. So the delete also we have implemented. So that means we have completed our CRUD operation using this user menu. Okay, the role-based authentication, this one actually we completed. This dynamic menu generation and implementing refresh token logic, these are the big topics. So already I made some videos. So let me share the link. So if you go to the YouTube, once you got my channel, so in the playlist section you can see like the authentication in Angular 13. So it contains just three videos. So most of our things we have covered in the first video, but the second two are I am not covered in this video. If you watched this one, you will get more information. So based on the role, we can generate the menus dynamically, and even this role-based authentication I just hard coded for the admin. So in case if you have a number of roles, we cannot hard code like that. So we have to handle everything in the dynamic manner. So if you completely watch this video, you will get all the details. So I will share this link also in the description. You can watch it. And I'm going to mark this one also gets completed. And the final one is new feature in Angular 14. So these are the features like, so the first feature is standalone component. So in this video also I'm used our login feature is completely developed using this standalone component. Here I have imported some forms and this material UI. So most of the things we have covered. And the second one is typed form. So when I'm explaining this reactive form, we use this typed form concept. So basically it will identify the issue in the developing time itself. It will save the user time. So other than that, we have five more features. These are not that much important. So anyway, just to keep in the note, the streamlined page title accessibility, extended developer diagnostics, that also I shown like. So when you are typing mistakenly some what is called our syntax, the system will check and it will show. Okay, and bind to protect component members, optional injectors in embedded views, ng model on push. These are the new feature in Angular 14. Okay, we have covered these new features in Angular 14. So the final one is interview questions and answers. So before that, I'm going to share some topic links because we already crossed 3 hours, so we cannot spend more time in the single video. So let me show the URLs, and also I will add in the description. You can use these all the links. The first one is for authentication. This one is already we discussed. And the second one is RxJS. So basically this RxJS is an reactive programs. It's mainly supporting for the asynchronous programming concepts. In our video also we have used this observable and the subscription. So in this RxJS playlist also having three videos. The first video is explaining about this observable with deeply, and the second one is subject. The final one, it will explain the complete operators in our RxJS. And the third one is .NET Core API. So in our application, we have consumed on .NET Core services. So the service is created with the framework of .NET Core 3.1. So that also I have made a separate video. So you can watch this video, you will get more details. And the transferring data between the components. So basically we can transfer the data between the components. We can do in the three ways. The first one is using input decorator. So using the input, we can transfer the data from our parent component to child component. And for doing the vice versa operation, child component to parent component, we can use an at output decorator. And the final one is at view data. So using this view data, we can do the data transfer simultaneously. That actually I explained in this video. You have to watch it, okay? And the next one is Angular unit testing. So the unit testing, see, in our Angular application, if you are creating any files using this Angular CLI command, it will generate one spec file also. That file actually is for the unit testing. You have to refer this video, you will get more details. And the state management. The state management, we can use local storage and session storage. Other than that, NGRX cookie also we can use. So I will share both the videos. You can watch and you will get more details. And in our video also already we used this local storage. And the next one is Angular complete tutorial playlist. Okay. So this is actually one of the playlist. So let me copy this one. Okay, this playlist also very interesting one. Why? Because so in this video we covered all the topics, but in this playlist I have created the separate video for each and every topics. You have to refer this playlist and you can watch it. Okay. See what are the topics are there, that also I have listed out in this playlist. So actually the final one is I am just providing as the information. So I have created the video for .NET Core 6.0. This one also a playlist. So basic installation to up to the deployment, everything we have covered. And for the development also, I use the Visual Studio Code instead of the Visual Studio. This is also one of the interesting series. So you have to watch it. Okay, now we are in the end of the video. Still, if you have any doubts or clarification, please post in the comment box. And also please don't forget to subscribe my channel. And we covered most of the topics. Still, in case if you are looking for any special topics in Angular 14 or .NET Core, please mention in the comment box. Definitely I'm going to create the video on that. And also I request you to, if possible, try to join our membership. Thank you. Thanks for watching.